Rajasthan is known for its vibrant and colorful life. Nestled in its heart lies the famous blue city of Jodhpur. It once served as the capital of the Marwar kingdom, and we arrived here wishing to know more about life in the streets of Rajasthan's second biggest city.
Welcome to Chapter 2 in our Rajasthan series.
We're currently in Jodhpur. This morning we woke up at about 6 a.m. and got a train from Jaipur. It was about a 5-hour journey and we chose the air-conditioned chair seats, so it made it very comfortable and it was more than enough space to make the journey enjoyable.
It is noteworthy that if you expect every square inch of every wall here to be blue washed, you might be a little let down. The majority of Jodhpur's blue streets are only located in the old city, which is situated on the southwest side of the Mehrangarh Fort. So if you plan to visit Jodhpur someday, you can find a place to stay close to the fort or Jodhpur Old City.
Currently in the Old City, which is at the base of the main fort, and as you can see from behind us, many of the walls or buildings in the city are painted blue, which has made it a very popular tourist attraction.
There are a few theories about why the city is called the Blue City and why the buildings are painted blue. One of the theories is that they painted the blue color to keep the buildings very cool, because Jodhpur is quite close to the desert and it gets very hot in the summer. I've been told that it gets up to 47 or 48 degrees, which is very hot, so then the blue color actually cools the buildings down. The second theory is that the paint is mixed with limestone, and this keeps mosquitoes and other flies away. And the third theory that we heard is that the blue color signifies that the houses were occupied by the priest community, and this was used as a sign to show that these are the houses of the priests.
While walking around the Blue City, we met a very enthusiastic young man. Deepak was born and brought up here and aspires to be a tour guide someday. He was so excited to just walk us around the best spots in his neighborhood, as well as fill us in on the rich history of the city. We paused at an old freshwater well along our trek that is still used by the locals. We were amazed by the diversity of artwork showcasing various aspects of Rajasthani culture. We loved the age-worn walls with their various colors of blue. They included detailed religious and historical murals that conveyed stories from the past. We hiked up to a breathtaking viewpoint of the city where we watched the sun set. We started our second day in Jodhpur with a visit to a famous stepwell. A stepwell is a large pond-like structure which one can access by walking down steep steps. Stepwells ensured people in dry Rajasthan had access to fresh water even at low groundwater levels.
Wow!
Today, this stepwell is enjoyed by the locals as a swimming pool and a chance to show off some impressive diving skills.
After visiting the stepwell, we headed to the clock tower, which is a popular landmark in the old city. And just around it lies one of the oldest and most famous markets of Jodhpur. Sardar market was built by Maharaja Sardar Singh. The entire market is spread around narrow lanes and by-lanes, with small and big shops that sell Rajasthani handcrafts and clothing. If you want to get a feel of an old city-style market with items used in everyday life, then this market is the place to be.
Jodhpur's treasures lie not just in its forts and palaces, but also in its food. To experience authentic Jodhpuri food, you don't need to make a reservation at a fancy restaurant. Instead, explore the narrow bylanes and hole-in-the-wall shops of Jodhpur's old city. Today, we decided to check out a few famous snacks and dishes from the Blue City.
Currently just outside the clock tower area, and we're going to try a very famous samosa here in Jodhpur. It's very famous for its spices, and people come all over the world just to try the samosa. It's very tasty. It's got potato inside with a mix of spices, and the pastry is really nice and crunchy, and it's not too thick. It's really nice.
So this particular shop is actually over 3 decades old, and on average they actually sell over 10,000 samosas a day, which is rather wild.
After the delicious samosa, next on our list was one of Jodhpur's most famous beverages, and for this we headed to Mishri Lal's.
With me I have the very famous Makhani Lassi from Jodhpur. This is basically a lassi that has a cube of butter put on top, and it's actually supposed to be eaten with a spoon because it's so thick that you can't actually drink it. You eat it like a dessert. Let's see how it goes. Let's see. It's delicious. It's just the right amount of sweet, and I think it's the perfect drink that cools you down for the Jodhpur summers because it does get extremely hot here.
It's currently lunchtime, and we have decided to go and find a traditional Rajasthani Thali.
This thali is a purely vegetarian thali, and it basically contains various small dishes within one big plate, so we are excited to go check it out.
A meal that you can't miss when in Rajasthan is the Rajasthani Thali. Typically, this thali includes vegetarian dishes such as rice, chapati, pad, pickles, chutneys, and desserts, along with curries and dal. These are served in small bowls known as batis. This thali is well known for its rich flavors, which show a great balance between sour and spicy elements.
It's very tasty. A little spicy, but it's very tasty.
Is it too spicy for you?
No.
After a great time tasting street food, we ended our evening by strolling around the market. This had now turned into quite a lively area. We checked out a variety of hand-dyed clothes, embroidered leather shoes and purses, and also some traditional Rajasthani jewelry. The sheer variety of merchandise on display at the Sardar market was quite impressive. The lively chatter, the joyful sounds of children running around, the aromas of spices and street food are what makes this an ideal example of a typical local Indian market.
The splendors of a palace that might have been built by titans and colored by the morning sun. This is how Rudyard Kipling described the Mehrangarh Fort when he visited Jodhpur in 1888.
We made it to Mehrangarh Fort, which is the main tourist attraction in the city. It's very early in the morning and it's nice and cool now, and we're hoping that it stays this way.
You can actually see the whole Blue City from up here, and now we're going to hike all the way up to the top of the fort.
Jodhpur was founded by Roho Jodha in 1459, who built this fort for his kingdom. Sitting on top of a rocky hill, the fort is over 120 meters high and is one of the largest forts in India. The entry to the fort is gained through 7 large stone gates. Some of them symbolize major events associated with the rule of the Maurya kingdom, such as victories in war. At the innermost gate, you will find these handprints of queens of the Maurya kingdom, who actually took part in the ancient custom of sati, where, on the death of the husband, the wife would dress up in her wedding dress and burn herself to death.
We're currently walking around a museum that has the different seats they would put on the elephants. Some are from like the 18th century, and then some are from the 19th century. They're all really, really beautiful. and they're quite big actually.
We also came across this weapons museum that housed the armory of royal generations. We couldn't help but think about the wars that must have been fought in and around this soil over the years. What was interesting was that the fort was filled with a number of these ornate chambers, some even lined with gold. And some of them even had a few Western elements of design.
Next we came across this elaborately detailed palace built just for the queens. Like the Hawa Mahal that we saw in Jaipur, this palace has screen windows so that nobody could see the queens while they caught a glimpse of the outside world. This was one of the most beautiful parts of the fort.
I'm currently walking along the fort wall and the old city is down to my right, but because I'm too short I can't actually see it. This is a pathway that only women and children are allowed to walk down, and then the men have to go down the stairs and it leads like to a little lake down to the left.
As we were about to exit the fort, we had the opportunity to see where one of Bibek's favorite movies was filmed.
We have just finished exploring the fort. Inside the fort is basically a museum that shows what life used to be like during the royal rule. In total we spent about 2 hours there, so it wasn't too long a time, but it was very nice.
Music is an integral part of Rajasthani culture, and the rich heritage of music has existed here for centuries. The long and dry seasons forced people to find other ways of earning a living than farming. This led to the birth of a variety of music styles as well as musician families, such as this family that we got to see perform tonight. In fact, in the past, several of these musicians were a quintessential part of the king's court and would be encouraged to perform every evening. As the lights lit up the old city, the beautiful rhythm and style of these folk music artists mesmerized us. The folk music of Rajasthan integrates the emotions, stories, and daily activities of the Rajasthani people. It has a beautiful melody, and the story in the song is told through interactions with the audience. We spent our evening having dinner, gazing at the fort while listening to these harmonious songs. What a perfect way this was to end our time in Jodhpur. We couldn't have asked for more.
Jodhpur holds a historical legacy that is just as inspiring as its architecture and customs. Our stay here was met with kind smiles and open hearts, scrumptious food and stunning views. Jodhpur is certainly more than just Rajasthan's blue city. If you enjoyed this week's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Our next adventure is going to be unlike anything that we have done in our journey through India so far. We can't wait to take you with us there. Until then, stay tuned.